Hey guys, what's happening with the tribe? It's Tall Chief here, and welcome to episode 1 of Halo 4 in depth. Today, what we're going to do is we're actually going to cover some of the juicy content that was in the 343 Halo 4 Bulletin. We're going to do a quick recap. Let's go ahead and get this thing started. Alright guys, so the first thing I wanted to actually talk about was the perk system. So for those of you guys who didn't know, everybody and their mother was talking about the Halo 4 perk system. Oh no, it's the end of days for everybody. It's going to end all of us. It's going to kill us all. When actually, Frank O'Connor actually stated that we're not even going to have anything similar to a perk system in our game. Frank O'Connor actually said, we're not having a Call of Duty perk system. I don't know where you got that from. We've said a lot of things about custom loadouts, stuff like that, which we will get into later in this video. There's a lot of really cool content about that in this video, but we're not actually going to have a perk system, and I think that's really great. And the main thing that they actually stressed in this sort of bulletin recap, by the way, which you can look at in the link in the description for the full article, the main thing that they actually stressed was that we're not going to mess up the balance of Halo 4. We're not going to mess it up. It's not going to be another Call of Duty. So let's go ahead and move over into customization. So customization has also been the big thing that everybody was talking about, and everybody was like, is it going to be where we're going to be able to spawn with shotguns and stuff like that? When in truth is, we're not going to be able to do that. If you guys can actually read here, Frank O'Connor actually states that we're not going to have like this crazy spawn with rocket launchers and energy swords type of thing. We're not going to have that. Instead, I think they're going to be something similar. It's going to be something similar to Invasion, where you sort of unlock weapons as you go, maybe, or you start off with something like you have the choice between a pistol or a DMR or something like that. And as long as they make it sort of balanced to where the pistol is something usable, like the Halo CEA pistol, or at least the No Bloom pistol, I think that would be great. So let's go ahead and move over into the multiplayer story news. Now, everybody was going, there's going to be a multiplayer story? What? And, they really stressed that in the trailer. And so, they actually sort of started talking about it here. Somebody asked about it, and he said that there's going to be a lot of, a great way to sort of, add a game plot to the multiplayer, but yet it's not going to take away from the Halo 4 plot. It's going to be something that's there, and it's going to make a lot of sense, but it's not going to be too crazy in depth. So that's always good to know. I think it's personally going to be something like it's a training ground for the Spartans or something like that, or something similar to that, or maybe they're going to add the red versus blue story. That would be a pretty cool story to have. That would be really crazy if they added that into that. So let's go ahead and talk about the Halo 4 beta, or the lack thereof. Probably the worst news that you're going to be hearing in this video, and we're not actually going to have a Halo 4 beta. Instead, I think what they're actually going to do, they're actually planning to sort of keep it in-house as far as beta wise, and really when you think about it, that is actually a very good thing. As if they keep it in-house wise, they can work on the game more, and I'm sure they're going to have like stuff like private beta and stuff, but when you have a public beta, that's going to take over basically your whole studio time, making sure that thing runs correctly, making sure you always have those patches up to date on the beta, making it the most enjoyable experience. And I think a lot of people got tuned off from Battlefield from the beta and stuff like that, when actually Battlefield is a completely different game from the Operation Metro gameplay. So that is very important, and I think it's actually a good thing that they didn't add the beta in. So let's go ahead and talk about armor abilities. So armor abilities were in the last game in Halo Reach, but for those of you guys who didn't know, Halo 3 actually had armor pickups where you can add stuff like overshield, stuff like that. If you guys play CEA, you guys are probably familiar with that. And so somebody asked, are we going to have armor abilities in here? And actually, he said, we're going to make the next sensible upgrade. We had power-ups before, we had pickups, and then we had armor abilities, so we're going to have the next best thing. So I'm thinking that, we're going to have sprint. I think it is confirmed that we're going to have sprint already added into that. So I think, I don't know. Maybe that's going to be the correct thing to do. I have no clue. We haven't got too much information. However, we did get, we basically got like, yeah, it's going to be there, or, we're going to have something, a bit more crazier than armor abilities. So let's go ahead and talk about the guns, or the number of guns that's going to be in Halo 4. Now, it's actually confirmed that we're going to have the same amount of guns and weapons that we did in Halo Reach. However, we're going to have a far wider variety of weapons, And in Halo Reach, we basically had assault rifle, DMR, pistol, and then the rest of the guns sucked, except a couple of power weapons. weapons. And then in, the plasma weapons weren't even worth using half the time unless it was like the plasma pistol or something like that. And actually, now he said there's going to be a lot of diverse weapons, especially with the new enemy that we're going to have. We're going to have a lot of really cool weapons and make those weapons a lot better, than just having the terrible alternative like the Covenant weapons. So let's go ahead and talk about the BR. So the BR has the BR has spread or hit scan, and the BR has more of a hit scan, and which basically, if you guys didn't know, instead of having like the big bloom stuff or something like that, we're actually going to have more of the similar to the Halo 3 BR. So go ahead and go practice up with that weapon. And so that's very interesting news. And what's even more interesting about that is the BR isn't going to be the weapon replacing the DMR. It's actually going to be something completely different. So go ahead and leave down in the comments below, what do you think it's going to be? Do you think they're going to add the DMR as well as the BR, or they're going to add a brand new weapon? And what would you like it to be? So let's go ahead and talk about the score system. So the score system is, that was very controversial in there. And they're like, it's going to be another Call of Duty score system. Oh no. And everybody was freaking out as well, when nobody actually took into consideration that might be a game type. That might be a different type of game type or a Slayer variant. And, Frank O'Connor basically said, you're not going to be able to find out basically from that trailer. There's nothing in there that will tell you what that is going to be. We purposely made it to where you couldn't find out, but it's not going to be the regular Slayer. It's going to be a classic, 0 to 50 in Slayer. So the next thing I wanted to talk about, and the final thing I want to talk about, is there going to be remakes? And basically he says, I'm not telling you, but basically yeah. So there's probably going to be a Guardian remake or something of that sorts in Halo 4. So that's very, very exciting news. I'm not saying that's confirmed, but it basically sounds like it is. So that's all the information I have for you guys in this video. Hopefully you guys did enjoy it, as well as if you want to read the full article. It's a giant article. Go ahead and look in the link in the description to go ahead and check it out. It's got a lot of really cool stuff in it, and hopefully you guys did enjoy the video. Go ahead and leave down below in the comments what you would like me to add to this video series to make it more enjoyable to you guys. And other than that, I guess I'll see you guys later. This is Zachary, or Tall Chief, and I'll see you guys later. Goodbye.